Good morning, everyone. Happy Monday, and welcome to a wild and wet Monday. That's for sure out there. If you haven't looked outside, little bit of water yesterday here in our area. But welcome to the morning show on the brand new Main Street TV. We're happy to have you with us this morning. Jennifer here, of course, to start off our morning news update, which is brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you're looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs, give Nia a call, 740-418-4135, and she'll be out working for you. And we are here with our good friend Pete Wilson to start off the morning. And Pete always brings us up the skinny in the news. So, what is going on today, buddy?
Okay, well, Jennifer, you kind of led me right into it. The big news yesterday, and to a certain extent,
Whew,
still this morning, is, of course, all the water out there.
man.
Pretty steady rains from late Saturday night through much of Sunday. I think we had some more last night, and we're going to show you some of the flooding scenes from yesterday in Jackson. Of course, there was flooding all over our region in both of our local counties, Jackson and Benton counties. This is a shot of the entrance to Eddie Jones Park. And as you look behind the sign, Eddie Jones Park, and that flag, that area is grassland and baseball fields. So it looks more like a lake or a marina there, but that's actually Eddie Jones Park. Uh, Other parks in Jackson were underwater too. There is Manpower Park out there along East Main Street. You can see that's looking from Main Street towards the shelter house there in the background, the gazebo just out of range of the water there. Of course, McDowell's Run runs right by Main Street, crosses Main Street there. And this is the first time since they did a drainage project at Manpower Park that it has flooded. Now, if you have good drainage, that's great. That will help, but it's not going to stop a flood,
For
obviously,
sure.
when the creeks rise above their banks and so forth. And then our other shot is at Westview Elementary School, or in front of Westview Elementary School. There in the background to the right, you can see the Westview building. But about mid-afternoon yesterday, there was water across the Beaver Pike. I don't think it was closed there, but you had to drive through water. The entrance to Westview Elementary School, you had to drive through water. And as you can see there in the background, a lot of standing water. I'm not sure how deep it was, but it was pretty expansive there. And of course, scenes like that, I'd say were very common all across our area. From what I have been
Yes.
able to gather, Jennifer, there were no like serious emergencies or incidences.
That's
There
good.
was some scares. Some people drove into water, as it happens. When it comes up quickly,
Mhm.
and they think, "Oh, I live there on the other side of that water. I got to get through there." They haven't closed it yet, so I'm going to drive through there. Some people got stranded in water,
Not
driving
good.
their vehicles. In at least two cases, I know local fire departments had to answer calls. It was probably more than that, but the Jackson Fire Department went down on Franklin Grange Road, where a SUV had become trapped in the water. A gentleman had gotten out of the water to go into the 4 Mile greenhouse. A female was still in the car. By the time he got back, there was water all around the vehicle.
Oh
She
no.
was temporarily trapped in there. She was afraid to get out. They called the fire department. By the time the fire department got there, which was pretty quick, some other folks had helped her get out of the water. The water there was at least knee deep. I was told that they had to wade through. Same thing down on CH&D Road, John Evans Road. That floods a lot. The Madison Jefferson Fire Department was called down there about 6:30 p.m. There was a report of a vehicle in the water. They didn't know if anybody was in the vehicle. That was, of course, could be a really big emergency. As it turned out, 4 people had already gotten out of the vehicle, but they, of course, could not drive out of it. And so, I'm sure that scenario could have happened some other times too. Uh, at the Jackson Bus Garage on Huron Street, that flooded,
Yep.
water onto the lot. Phil Howard had to marshal some bus drivers on Sunday afternoon, as well as Jackson County Sheriff Ted Frazier, who has a license to drive a bus. They helped move 18 or 20 buses from the lot of the bus garage there on Huron Street to the high ground at the high school. That's
Sure.
happened before, but here in Jackson, we have a couple creeks. They're not big ones, but that means that they come up fast. Jackson is kind of in a bowl here, And so, you get much water in a short period of time. It can flood quickly. It can go down quickly, too. As far as the weather forecast is, the rain should be over for right now. However, the National Weather Service, just before I came up, extended the flood warning to noon today. And it did indicate that Jackson and Vinton counties were both in that area where more flooding could occur. So I think the worst of it is over, but still, it is dangerous out there. There are still roads that are pretty flooded. I talked to the sheriff yesterday, and he said there were many roads that were either closed or impassable. He didn't have a list, but a lot. The roads that normally flood, in those low-lying areas that were along streams, they were probably closed temporarily. What happens, Jennifer, and this is a safety message we need to get out, the water comes up quickly. Just because they haven't closed the road with roadblocks
Sure.
and sawhorses doesn't mean that you should drive through water, that it's safe to do so. It isn't. As a matter of fact, the Hamden Fire Department posted this, and this is interesting, because you're in a big car, a Jeep or whatever, you're off the ground, you think, oh, I can get through this. Just 6 inches of water, if you're standing, can knock you down, because the water is moving. And 1 foot of water can actually sweep your vehicle away. You might not think of that, but it can, because it's much stronger than you might think, the undercurrent there of that rising water. So you should never drive through standing, rising water. Never do it. Just go back and go another way. It could be worse than it looks. Obviously, if you can't see the surface, even if it's just 6 inches, it's probably best not to go through it. That's when some real disasters and even tragedies can happen. Okay, we'll give you some good news now from the COVID-19 front. No new reports from the Jackson County Health Department, but remember, the last one we had was very good. Only 12 cases in Jackson County in the previous 4 days when this report was put out. That was as of February 21st, which was a week ago. A little bit more than a week ago, actually, 8 days ago, but that was the best report since October 31st. In Vinton County, we have got some new reports, and there has been no new confirmed cases in Vinton County for the past 3 days. We've gone 3 days of
Wow.
0, 0, 0. There was one probable case that was reported, and now in Vinton County, there are only 3 active cases of COVID-19. So the trend that we have seen since really the first week
That's
of February
amazing.
has continued, and we hope that it keeps going that direction. And of course, one of the things that gives you hope, of course, is all the vaccinations that are taking place in a phased-in procedure in the state of Ohio. And it was a big day in Jackson, all through Jackson County on Friday, because vaccinations were given at the at all the schools, the Jackson City schools, the Oak Hill schools, and the Wellston City schools. And at Jackson, they had all the teachers and all the adult staff come up to the field house. They did a 2-hour delay, and they had a time for each building to come, each employee group to come, and it got done quicker than even Phil Howard thought that it would. This is a picture of a substitute teacher, Edna Rouse, getting her vaccination, and I believe that is Pat Woolham, who is one of the nurses and contact tracers at the health department, giving her that COVID-19 shot. Of course, all the adult staff there through the schools, all 3 of our local school districts will have to get that second vaccination in 3 weeks. So all good. COVID cases continue to go down perceptibly, and vaccinations are being given. And everybody will get a chance to get a vaccination. It's just when your opportunity comes. If you fail to get one when your time comes, you'll kind of maybe have to go to the back of the line. But everybody will get a chance to get that vaccination. And what I'm hearing anecdotally is that about 75% of the people who are eligible to get a vaccine are choosing to do so.
Okay.
And of course, the ones who did not, maybe they were a little concerned. Maybe they wanted to see, heard about the side effects. They wanted to wait it out a little bit. They will probably get the chance, obviously, to get it later. All right, we're going to go to sports now. And sports we usually do at the end, but we're going to do it in the middle because it's big. The Vinton County Lady Vikings won their first ever district championship
Woohoo!
on Friday night at Ross Southeastern. That is the head coach, Rod Bentley, uh, whose team has won 4 straight sectional tournaments. And now, for the first time in recent years, they've won a district championship. I think it may be the first district championship in school history. They are going to the regional tournament. That is the Sweet 16. That is a great accomplishment for any
awesome.
high school basketball team.
You go, girls.
When you get to the Sweet 16. They defeated Circleville 58-29. It wasn't even close. That is the way that Benton County has been playing this year. They will play Dresden Tri-Valley at 8 o'clock Tuesday evening at Zanesville High School. A long trip up there, but that's where the regional is this year.
Where is Dresden?
Well, Dresden is a rural district that in Muskingum County that surrounds Zanesville. It's a big school, Division II, and Dresden, I think, is where the Lonneberger basket place was. But it's a rural area, and the enrollment is as great or greater than Benton County. They are Division II. They are always real good in all sports, it seems like, boys and girls. They play in the Muskingum Valley League. They are the top seed in the Eastern District. Benton County is the second seed in the Southeastern District. And I believe Tri-Valley has only lost 1 game. Benton County has only lost 1 game, and that was to the gigantic school from the Columbus area, Dublin Kaufman. So that should be it should be a great game. The other game will be Fordonville Sheridan against Wintersville Indian Creek. The 2 winners will meet, I believe, on Friday. So, of course, the radio will be there to carry that game Tuesday evening at 8 o'clock game time. So it's the second game. And, of course, it will be on WYRO 98.7. And, of course, you can connect with our Total Media app on your phone or on your computer. You don't need to plug in the radio and turn on the dial. There's other ways to listen. And we know that more and more people are choosing to do this because it's so convenient. Almost everybody, it seems like, has a phone. So
that is true, Pete.
And we do want to tell you that the Jackson Ironmen, they did not play over the weekend, but remember we told you on Friday that they had won the first game, or they won the sectional championship against Benton County 47-45. They will play Gallia Academy on Thursday at Jackson. This is the district semifinal. The higher seed team gets to host, and Gallia Academy was an upset winner. I'm sure Ryan Smith is glad to report that he is an old Blue Devil basketball player. Well, I'm sorry, not an old Blue Devil basketball player, a former. I remember he was pretty good. But anyway, it'll be 2 old rivals playing on Thursday evening at Jackson, Gallia Academy and the Jackson Ironmen. The winner will go to the district finals, and if Jackson makes the district finals, it will only be the 4th time in school history. They've never won a district championship. So they have the advantage of the home court, but Gallia Academy upset Hillsborough to be able to advance to the district tournament themselves, so it should be an outstanding game. Once again, that's on Thursday evening, March the 4th, and that game will be at 7 o'clock, and you can hear that on WKOV 96.7 FM. All right, we had a celebrity in Jackson County over the weekend. Ellie King. Have you heard of Ellie King, Jennifer?
Ellie King, yeah. She is a singer, yes.
She is a singer with Jackson County roots. She has family in Wilson. That is her in the center.
Yep.
And that is her grandfather to the right, and she is flanked on the other side by Nathan Kitts, who is the owner-operator of Rowdy's Smokehouse.
That's right.
Restaurant here in Jackson. And Ellie is a good customer of Rowdy's. And she had a singing career before, but she just had a big breakthrough. I didn't know whether you heard. She has an iTunes hit with Miranda Lambert, none other than Miranda Lambert.
Crazy
and it just
stuff.
went to #1 on the charts, and she shows up at Rowdy's on Saturday.
That's some pretty neat stuff.
You know, this was a autograph type thing, because her name is much bigger now in just one day, and so we got that picture from Nathan, and we'll be running a little bit of publicity there in the paper. We know she spent part of Saturday helping Girl Scouts sell cookies in Wellston.
Sell cookies. That was the cutest thing ever.
Right. That was very, very nice.
Very good.
Okay. So we've got Ellie King in. Over the weekend, once again, our connection with Washington, we want to let you know what our representatives are doing. Early Saturday morning, the House of Representatives, U.S. House of Representatives, passed the COVID relief bill, $1.9 trillion, very controversial. The Democrats, all the Democrats in the House voted for it except two. And on the Republican side, they all voted against it, and that included 6th District Congressman Bill Johnson and 15th District Congressman Steve Sivers. He represents Vinton County. Bill Johnson's district includes Jackson County. Congressman Johnson put out a statement saying that the 1.9 trillion COVID relief bill was a liberal wish list, that only 9% of the actual money is going to COVID relief. Of course, on the other side, the Democrats say that the money is badly needed to help people and businesses and schools and everybody who's been affected by the pandemic, and they think that it should be passed. So you have arguments on both sides there. It'll go to the Senate, where it should be very interesting because of that 50-50 split.
Interesting.
All right, and later on today, the Warriors for Christ program will conduct an open house for its new addiction recovery campus. That's on Chillicothe Pike at 10827. Open house from 4 to 6. Anybody can come. This is a residential facility for recovering drug addicts. And this is Justin and Amy Oyer have done this project, and they invite anybody to come from 4 to 6 p.m. to see this new facility and also meet the staff and learn about the good work that they're going to be doing there. Over the weekend, Jennifer, the Wellston Rotary Club did have its chili and soup dinner. It was 12 to 5 p.m. They actually sold out and stopped an hour early. They had 200 servings of beans and chili that were sold. That is Tim Jones, who was the master of the cast iron pot, cooking chili there. They also had soup beans. They had ski beverages and water and crackers and all. Through a $5 donation, you could get the soup and the crackers and the beverage. That money will help make up for the fact that they couldn't do their Valentine's dinner and dance. And so the Wellston Rotary Club would like to thank everybody who came out to support that project. I've already had some of the chili, and it was wonderful. So if they do it again, you don't want to miss that. Today is March 1. That means that the Jackson City Library is going to do, I know, maybe no more snow or rain. I don't think we can count on that. But the Jackson City Library is increasing its hours now, as they've gotten good news from the governor about, what is allowed now because of the COVID-19 numbers improving. The new hours for the Jackson Library, and that is starting today, they're back to these hours, 10 a.m. to 6 p.m., Monday through Thursday. On Friday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. Saturday, 10 a.m. to 2. On Sunday, of course, it's closed. There are still restrictions, though. It's not like pre-pandemic. Masks are required. Curbside service is available to those who do not wish to wear a mask or don't have one. Visits should be limited to 15 minutes to keep from too many people being in the library at the same time, and patrons are limited to 25 items at a time. 10 of those items may be DVDs. Jackson City Council will hold a work session tonight. No legislation or formal action, but they're going to just discuss a lot of different topics, some of the older ordinances that some of the council members feel needs to be revised and addressed. And that will lead, I'm sure, to some important decisions on down the road. Colton Village Council will also meet tonight at 7 p.m. They've had virtual meetings where they've met on Zoom or Facebook the last several meetings, but this will be an in-person meeting. That will be 7 p.m. at the Colton Community Building there on 2nd Street. And don't forget, this is the final day for Jackson County High School seniors and 4-H members to sign up or apply for the new Brent Jenkins 4-H Memorial Scholarship. This is a new scholarship named in honor of the late Brent Jenkins. He was on the Fair Board for a number of times, died far too young at the age of 55 from cancer, and his family and others have established this memorial scholarship to help seniors and 4-H members into the future, and also, of course, to honor his service as a Fair Board member and a big supporter of 4-H. So I'm going to make way for the president of the University of Rio Grande and Rio Grande Community College, and we certainly appreciate him being there today. I know he's got a lot of great things to report about the progress being made at Rio Grande.
Hey
That's
Pete,
exactly
before you
right.
take off, here's the photo of Ellie King selling Girl Scout
Yeah, there
cookies.
she
Okay, yes,
is, selling the Girl Scout cookies in Wellston.
there she. That had to maybe crank up the sales a little bit.
Pretty neat stuff.
All right.
All right.
Thank
Well,
you all very much.
thank you, Pete. Appreciate you. And of course, Pete's Morning News Update, always brought to you by Nia Henry, agent for Appalachia Realty. If you are looking to buy or sell or have any real estate needs for that matter, please give Nia a call, 740 418 4135, and she will work for you. All right, let's head on over to your Total Media Radio weather forecast, where you can download that Total Media Radio app. And you can get that at the Apple App Store or at the Google Play Store if you have an Android. And it takes about 3 seconds to download this app, and then you can listen to any of our local radio stations right there on your phone. You don't have to have a radio. You don't have to worry about the coverage going in and out. No problem. Anywhere in the world you are, you can listen to Total Media. All right, looking a little better in the forecast for today. Partly cloudy, highs around 46 degrees. For tonight, mostly clear, lows around 22, so a little colder overnight tonight. Then tomorrow on Tuesday, they're calling for sunny skies and highs around 45, but that pesky wind chill is still in the forecast. And they are calling for wind chill values as low as 23 degrees tomorrow. And then looking on to Sunday, or Sunday, Wednesday, an absolutely gorgeous day with sunny skies and highs around 55 degrees. So not too shabby for this time of the year. And we would like to think that any day we have that's 55 is not 15. So that's a good thing. All right. Well, we have a special guest, one of our favorite guests here, with a different hat on this time. Our good friend Ryan Smith is here, and you don't have on your political hat this time. I think you did the last time, but you have on your Rio Grande hat. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yes, it's wonderful to have you, and you were so gracious as to take time out of your busy schedule to come and talk about some of the wonderful things that you have going on down there in Rio Grande. And I guess first off, if people don't know you, maybe introduce yourself.
So I'm Ryan Smith. I'm the president of the University of Rio Grande Community College. I live in Gallia County. So happy to be back on the show.
Yes.
Excited to hear all the great news that Pete had to share.
That's exactly right. And Ryan, first off, let's talk a little bit about, we do have some great things to tell everybody about, but I think people get confused between the university and the community college. Could you explain that a little bit?
Yeah, I'm glad you asked that because that was what I was hoping we could start with, I think, just to clear some things up. So we are actually the only co-located public-private institution in the United States. There are some with agreements out there, but none that are co-located that have the kind of setup that we do. So on the first side, the public side, is Rio Grande Community College. So if you're an Ohio student, your first 2 years or your first 64 credit hours at our institution are community college rates, which is fantastic for our region.
Yes.
And of course, if you're in the 4-county region that supports the community college, meaning Gallia, Jackson, Benton, or Meigs, you get an even further reduced rate because there's a small levy that has been in place for 50 years that everybody supports, and that's part of why there's a reduced rate. So the first 2 years for any Ohio student, lower rates at the community college, and then the last 2 years you roll over to the private side, which is the university side, when the costs go up like they would at any private university.
That makes total sense, and I do know that it is a little confusing. I did not know that Rio is the only community and private college combined in a campus. That's pretty neat.
It is pretty neat. It's very unique to anybody in the country, and I have a lot of different presidents from around the country ask me about our setup and so on and so forth.
Yeah, that's wild. So, how did you? So, a while back, you did have a politics career, and you ended up there in Columbus, representing all of us Appalachians down here in Columbus, and did such a fantastic job. And how did you end up at Rio from there?
So I was in the, I guess, twilight of my term limits. I was in my eighth year. I had a year left, but term limited, and felt like it was probably best at that point. As I watched Rio Grande up to that point had struggled with some different things, and I knew that my contacts throughout Columbus and throughout the state of Ohio would be very beneficial, and I felt like my skill set could be helpful. So, they had an interim president at the time, and we began talking about it, and next thing you know, something I never envisioned but have thoroughly enjoyed is becoming the president.
That is an amazing feat, and you have done an amazing job. So we're happy to have you down here and representing our area in more ways than one, that's for sure. All right, so you have a very, very special kind of program and announcement that you have done. So I guess let's get to it and talk about that for a minute.
So recently we rolled out our tuition affordability plan. The board unanimously approved this. And basically what this is, as I mentioned, your first 2 years as an Ohio student would be at the community college rate. So let's just say for purposes of round numbers, let's say that costs $5,000 a year. That is a tremendous value, particularly at the University of Rio Grande, because we have a lot of PhDs teaching the 100 and 200 level classes that you won't necessarily find at a lot of other community colleges. So you get a great value up front, but oftentimes what happened was when you get to that 65th credit hour and the cost goes up. And when I say goes up, it went from $5,000 in tuition to a $26,810 for the private side. Again, that's actually very competitive on the private side, but still quite a gap,
Sure.
particularly for students in our area. So too many times we had students coming to financial aid that said, I love it here at Rio, I can't afford to stay. So we kind of went to work on that and started looking at what makes sense, what's the right price point, where should we be. The luxury we had is unlike most schools in the United States, we have grown our enrollment this past year. We were up 7%. It gave us the financial flexibility to be able to say, you know what, we want to reinvest in our region, in our area to make this more affordable and give people a pathway to stay rather than a reason to leave. So we reduced it from $26,810 on an annual basis on tuition to $19,400. We also took down the dorm cost from $11,166 to $10,500. That will actually impact anybody living in the dorm that might be a first or second year student. Community college student who's living there will see the benefit. But for the most part, the benefits felt on the 4-year side. So we felt like we really opened up some pathways, because if you total all of the financial aid and Ohio College Opportunity Grants and things like that, your gap on the university side on tuition is down to just a few $1,000s. And we have need-based scholarships. We also have merit scholarships if you're a good student. Oftentimes those get closed because of that. So now everybody, while they may not choose to come to Rio Grande, it's not because they can't afford it. We now have a pathway.
Now, okay, so the money comes from somewhere, Ryan. So how are you able to reduce those tuitions?
So we've done a couple different things. Like I mentioned, we grew 7% on the enrollment this past year,
That's
which allowed
amazing.
us, it gave us the flexibility to be able to start looking at this. We also have a strong population coming in from the international student athlete side that want to come compete in the United States. So from my perspective, it's basic economic development, right? If you can bring money in from the outside of your community into your community, you're growing it versus sending it out of here and spending it elsewhere. So this is going to benefit our region. It's going to allow our students to graduate with not just an associate's, but a bachelor's or advanced degree. We're going to have a more skilled workforce out here. It'll attract more jobs. It'll make communities healthier. We really feel like it's just a great commitment back to the region and the right thing to do.
Well, it sounds fantastic to me. I didn't know that about the international athletes. That's pretty cool.
It is, and it allows us to attract more students at a good price point that allows us more flexibility. And I mentioned all of the decreases in tuition, but at the same time, we're reinvesting, in the campus. We're redesigning Rhodes Hall. We've got a learning commons, which is where our tutoring is. We added an appreciative advising model because our students need more than just here's the classes you need to take to accomplish your major. It's more about how do I get childcare taken care of on Tuesday, especially during this pandemic. It's solving problems like that our students oftentimes run into, that we're really focused on. So it's adding student supports. We added career services so that we can hopefully help connect the jobs to our graduates, because that's ultimately what people are wanting, why they come and get an advanced degree. So we've done all of that and lowered the price, so we feel like we've done all we can to help make our students successful.
You know, and I feel like, and this is really probably not appropriate, but I'm going to say it. There's a lot of colleges out there that take your money and give you a degree and then literally kick you out the door and don't help you find that job and aren't helping you with those services. And that's very frustrating. You know, you spend 4 years and a whole lot of money going to a school, and then you feel as if they're going to help you and they don't. And I felt that way. And then, you know, you talk with kids that are graduating now and they're just feeling very helpless. So glad to know that you are providing those supportive services for your graduates.
Absolutely. We felt like it was our commitment back to them for trying to
Sure.
get them not just through. I mean, our main goal is when they get there to put our arm around them and say, we're going to partner with you to make sure you cross this stage. But beyond that, hopefully land a good job with a great wage that you can support a family. I think that makes everything better.
It absolutely does. That's kind of the point of going through 4 years of school, is to find a job and one that you choose a career. So what are some of the programs at Rio that folks are doing? I know you have a nursing program, and what are some of the main programs that you have down there right now?
Nursing is our largest currently. Education is another large one. Business has a good enrollment. We have a lot of different programs. We in the past we had to kind of shrink a little bit, just to get back to our core fundamentals of what we do and what I call the blocking and tackling. So we need to do what we do well. And as we grow from here, this is going to be the really fun part, is where do we want to go from here? What do we want to talk about? We've talked a lot about cybersecurity. We've talked about data analytics, areas that are growing so quickly out in the world, that offer so many different employment opportunities. And the beauty of it, and now people have learned this during the pandemic, they don't have to leave Southeast Ohio to have these jobs. These can be done remotely, and that's exciting to me, because for too long we've educated people and they've left for bigger and better things in bigger cities. Oftentimes they want to stay in Southeast Ohio. You know, those of us that are from here, we love it, and we want to give them an opportunity to do that.
You know, and I guess as a college, as any other business, you have to change with the times and um, do those degrees that are up and coming. And how do you keep track of all of that?
It's really kind of keeping your thumb on the marketplace and what
Yeah.
is what's happening out there, and talking to the businesses. You know, oftentimes, like we have been trying to hire, did recently hire an institutional researcher. That's data analytics, and what I found is every industry out there is doing data analytics right now. They're collecting data. They just don't necessarily know how to analyze it. So I think that's where the future's headed. I think that's an area we're going to try and beef up in the future. So again, that's the fun part, is trying to figure out what's cutting edge and what can people do, particularly living in this area, and gain meaningful employment.
That's exactly right, and good for you. That's amazing. Well, let's back up for a minute and talk about that dreaded word that we've all been dealing with for the past literally year now, and that is COVID. I'm sure when you took the job as president of a university, you never in your wildest dreams imagined that you would have to be dealing with a global pandemic. So, how what are the challenges you all faced, and how did you deal with that?
You're exactly right. I never dreamt that would be the
It's
case.
just a sick and cruel joke, right?
I was 5 months in. I'm learning higher ed, and all of a sudden, I looked everywhere. I couldn't find the playbook for a pandemic.
Right.
So, fortunately, we've got a wonderful team, and I oftentimes refer to our team and our campus as the Rio family, because we are like a big family. Everybody knows the students' names, and we build relationships, and that's what makes us great. the pandemic, it kind of forced us into some spaces that we were headed to, but not there yet. In other words, online learning, how can we do things like that? Fortunately for us, while we're a small campus, we had capacity, we had room. So we found ourselves having to go through every room with a 6-foot stick to be able to measure how many students you could get in here, and then put a COVID capacity on the outside of the door. So, for our area, it became very clear to us when we had to go remote last spring that our students said, look, for a variety of reasons, I want in-person learning. Broadband internet is not as pervasive down here as we would like. That's a big issue. So we made the commitment as soon as we could get back in the classroom, we wanted to. Our second half of summer, starting July 6th last year, we came back in person, been able to put in all the different, face mask requirements, sprays, ventilation treatment. I mean, everything you can think of, we have done. And for the most part, knock on wood, we've been really fortunate. I think about the time the entire world blew up right around Thanksgiving last year. We decided, look, we've got a couple weeks of education left in this semester. We need to go remote for the safety of everybody because the contact tracing was almost out of control. And it wasn't necessarily from our campus. It was people bringing it to our campus and going to a birthday party on the weekend and things like that. So we took that time off, got everybody through the semester, and then allowed us to come back. We started a week later in January, I think, paid huge dividends, give us a little bit of space from New Year's and let this thing die down. And, right now, I mean, we are, again, very fortunate to be able to take all the precautions necessary. We've kept this under control and people learning face to face.
And boy, what a stressful job it is because you're trying to prevent this for yourself and your family and all of that, but yet you feel as if all of the students are your family as well, and the faculty, and you're having to worry about their welfare as well. And I'm sure there's a lot of sleepless nights there.
There are, and like most issues, this is not going to surprise anybody. I had people that were on one end saying, I'm not wearing a mask on campus or in the classroom, and I had other people who said, you got to have everybody in full PPE and everything else.
Yep.
So, just trying to balance that and do what's best for the students and keep everybody moving forward, because I never dreamt it would last this long, but even early on, I said, we can't just all stay home forever. I mean, we've got to start making forward progress. And I'm really proud of our faculty, our staff, and our students for what they've been able to do.
Well, you all have done an amazing job. And, I've said this a lot. I have some of my best friends from college are teachers up, in the Columbus area or Newark or around there. And, they have been very frustrated because they haven't been able to go back to school or doing partially remote and whatever. And they're worried about their own children and whatever. And I'm like, well, we've just gone back like normal. And down here, we hillbillies in Appalachia have done, I think, a pretty amazing job. So it can be done. And I'm glad that you all were able to pull that off as well.
As am I.
Yeah.
It was quite an undertaking, but like I said, our team has worked really hard, and I'm super proud of them. And I think I'm like everybody else. I'm tired of wearing a mask everywhere I go, and I look forward to the time when we don't have to. And if you go back to a basketball game or whatever it might be at full capacity, the things that we took for granted everyday life, I think everybody will appreciate a little bit more after this experience.
That's right. And at least we have all slowed down just a hair, right?
Exactly.
Which is good. All right. So what are you seeing as the future for Rio? What are you looking forward to for the college?
I think just getting back to where we once were, which is a thriving campus. Our residential population grew quite a bit this year. I think we'll see that in the future. The response we've had so far from this tuition affordability has been great. If anybody out there wants to learn about it, you can either go to the website at rio.edu, and there's a link to the tuition affordability, or just call our financial aid or admissions department and have a conversation, because everybody's situation is different. But where I see it going, just to give you a sense, I mean, we've added multiple sports in the last year. We added esports, which is extremely popular. amongst this younger generation. And again, it gives students a reason to come to our school, compete in esports, get a great education. We added wrestling. Um, we are uh, uh, we are adding men and women's rugby, believe it or not, in the future.
Whoa.
Yeah, it's really exciting to see that. We added men's volleyball. We've
How
always
fun.
had women's volleyball and had a real successful program. Um, so we also added mountain biking and archery as club sports. We actually have our bass fishing team, which is a club sport, competing in the nationals this week in Oklahoma.
What?
Yeah, so
That's so cool.
it's really amazing the things that we have, and we're trying to take advantage of our natural resources. And that's just on the athletic side. Like I said, the academic side, the sky's the limit. It's a matter of what we want to add, where we can add it, what makes the most sense. Those take a little bit longer because you do studies and kind of try to feel your way through and make sure you're adding what the students want in the future. So super excited about all of that. I see a lot of growth at Rio Grande. I see a lot of success. I mean, I mentioned bass fishing, but we have a long jumper competing in nationals in South Dakota this next week. We've got a race walker competing in nationals. Both our basketball men and women's are playing in the conference tournament tomorrow night in the finals, and they've already qualified for the national tournament. I mean, it is a really exciting time to be at Rio Grande.
I think that sounds amazing, and you all are just on it. Good job.
It is going well.
Definitely. That is so cool. So, how about infrastructure? So, you mentioned that there were some buildings being remodeled, things like that. It has to be hard to keep up with all of these buildings and keep them in good shape along the way. How in the heck do you do that?
That's always a big task for any higher ed institution because
It
we
would
have, I
be.
think, a total of 42 buildings on campus.
Wow.
That's a lot of HVAC and air conditioning and everything else. So it is a lot to keep up with. Fortunately, we have some capital bill programs from the state of Ohio, one of which I mentioned earlier. I mean, we've got a couple $1 million that will rehab Rhodes Hall. We've done tremendous work. David Broder's our director of facilities and just done a tremendous job getting everything running and keeping it running. You know, during cold times, obviously, we want heat, and as it gets warmer, we'll want cool air. But even just keeping the snow and ice off of campus, they've done a tremendous job. So we are so blessed with so many talented people that work hard every day and love that school. So we've got a long way to go there as far as investment and where we'd like to go in the future. We have talked about the possibility of adding an agriculture degree in the future. We have the Bob Evans Farms land that the company gave us probably 3 or 4 years ago now that we're super excited to have and want to explore that. We think it fits well with our region and what we could offer. So we're having discussions like that as well, but want to make sure that we have our current buildings up to speed and where they need to be before we start kind of expanding from there.
I think that agricultural degree would be fantastic. We are blessed down here with land, and some of the big cities don't have. So that certainly would be something that we could take advantage of. That's amazing.
Yeah, a lot of our younger folks in the area that want to study ag either have to go to Worcester, the Ohio State branch. Oftentimes they do. They go to possibly Wilmington or Moorhead. All of which are at least 2 hours, if not much further. So we really want to be able to offer that here that, again, fits well in our region. We have tremendous talent and things in that space. So another area that we hope to explore a lot.
I love that. That is very unique and very good. So what are some of the other things you would like our viewers to know while you're here in the hot seat? And we'll just give you the opportunity to tell people what you would like them to know.
Well, first and foremost, come visit campus. I think people will be surprised. I've had a lot of comments about how great campus looks, how amazing everything is that we have going. There's something for everybody, and we want our students to enjoy a full campus experience, and that's the beauty of it. So as I mentioned earlier, the first 2 years community college rates for $10,000, and oftentimes if you're an under-resourced student, there's financial aid available. We can get you through those first 2 years with no debt
Wow.
if you fall in that bucket. So you think about nursing, for instance. If you go through that program, you get an associate's, you become an RN, you're making $50,000 or $60,000 for 2 years of schooling. I mean, that's about as good a bang for your buck as you will find.
I would say you're exactly right on that.
Yeah, so it's. I just think we offer so many opportunities, whether it's certificates in welding or associates from the community college, bachelor's or advanced degrees from the university. It's kind of a one-stop shop, and here's what we find an awful lot. Students come to our campus not sure if they're really meant for higher education or maybe lack the confidence that they can do it. And within that first semester, they realize, I can do this. And they oftentimes not just go to the associate's degree, they go on to bachelor's and advanced degrees. So it is, I talk about higher ed. I told the campus when I got there, we're in the business of changing tomorrows. I truly believe that. I think the example I gave for nursing is exactly what can happen. And for so many people in our area, this can change their tomorrow in such an unbelievable way. 45% of the students on our campus are first-generation degree students.
Wow.
So don't let that be a barrier. Don't let anything financially be a barrier. We can help find you a pathway through, and we'll give you the support you need along the way. And again, when you're a first-generation student, and I've had numerous ones tell me, my parents didn't even know what a credit hour was. I didn't know who to ask. That's perfectly natural. We take it for granted sometimes in higher ed when we talk about stuff like that. But those are the things that the appreciative advising is designed to help with, is to help make you comfortable, understand, and get you through. So, we really do believe in our mission of changing tomorrows. And I think one student at a time, this region is going to get stronger and healthier and more jobs and stronger communities. I'm excited about the future.
And I think that you all are growing so much, and I think that's a testament to our area and the folks that you have down there. So great job.
Thank you.
Of course. One program that I would like to talk about for a minute, and it probably existed when I was in school, but I was never told about it, and I feel as if it's very important, and that is the high school kids being able to come down, and I don't know what the program's called, where they can actually get some credit hours, and they're ahead of the game, and that's pretty cool stuff.
It is really cool. So,
where was that when I was in school?
The program started under what was called post-secondary option.
Okay.
Was what we all kind of knew it by early on. Probably, I don't know when it dates back to, 10, 12 years maybe. You were probably just out of school. I was a long way out of school. So, it's now called College Credit Plus, so a CCP program. It has, and this pandemic has really increased our population in that space. So we have about 1,750 students roughly on campus, full-time, part-time, all together. And out of those, about over 400 are CCP students. It's a great opportunity for students to come get college credit. Oftentimes, many will earn an associate's degree, enough to get an associate's by the time they graduate high school. Does not cost them anything, and it basically passes the money through the local school district to the community college. I wish it was not as antagonistic with the local districts, and I don't mean that they fight us on it by any means. It's just I wish it was more of a shared funding model and not robbing Peter to pay Paul kind of thing.
Yes.
But it is what it is, and it offers an unbelievable opportunity for students to get college credit out of the way, to see how they feel about college.
Right.
And this is why the tuition affordability to me was that much more important, because we have so many students graduating with 40, 50, even 60 credits, and they're not very far away from the university rates. So we don't want them to feel like they have to leave us because they can't afford it.
Well, and I think that's an amazing. It's just win-win for everybody, and I understand that the school districts probably don't like losing the funding by sending their kids on, and something should be done about that. Call your friends up in Columbus and tell them about that.
In hindsight, I wish that there would have been enough funds to be able to tackle that, because it would have made a big difference. But it is what it is, and we are where we are. So
Yes. But to graduate high school and have college credit hours under your belt is I mean, that's life-changing stuff.
it really is. It gives them a head start. And look, I think one thing everybody in America can agree on: college is really expensive,
Yes.
and this helps. Anything you can do to lower that cost. My son's a CCP student right now from Guy Academy. He's a junior. He'll be a CCP student next year. That's 2 years of college that we would have planned to pay for in a 4-year degree had he sought that route, that we won't have to now. And that is, again, it makes it that much more attainable for so many people.
You're correct on that. All right. I have a few minutes left, Ryan. Is there anything else you would like to tell our viewers while you're here?
I think I've pretty well covered it all. Again, I would love for people who are thinking about where they're wanting to go to college to either call our admissions department, set up a tour. They'll take you around, talk to you about the different programs. Oftentimes at an orientation, we'll have the faculty there so they can kind of talk to faculty. And that's the beauty. Again, I went to Ohio State with 55,000 students.
Right.
I was in big lecture halls and things like that. This is a much more personalized education. You work directly with your faculty member. You know them very well. It's just it is for the right person and wants a small campus, know everybody by name. It's just a great setup from that perspective.
I think you're exactly right, and just because it's near here doesn't mean that you don't get a good education and that you have to go to the big city to get so.
You will see, and I would encourage everybody to watch in the future, you'll see us promoting kind of where our grads have gone. For instance, we've got a person creating commercials at Disney now.
That's so cool.
The stories I hear about are incredible. They're really incredible, and oftentimes we have pre-law, we have pre-dentistry, pre-med, all the different lines. So if you think about, we were talking about CCP, for instance, think about that. You're 2 years in, you go for 2 more years, you get your bachelor's, and then you have some sort of graduate school if you want to take that path. Now we've created an affordable pathway, and that is a huge investment if you decide to go on for a law degree or a medical degree or anything like that. So as we start to promote our alumni and where they are and what they've done, I think people's eyes will be opened, because to your point, just because we're down the road doesn't mean that our degree is anything but really valuable, and you'll see that as you start to see these examples.
Yes, love that, love that. All right, well, Ryan, thank you so much for taking time again out of your busy schedule to come and see us here and be here in person on the program, because it is you are a busy guy, and it means a lot to us that you would take time to come see us.
Well, I appreciate the invitation. I'm happy to come back anytime. So
hey, the door is always open to you.
Thank you.
All righty.
While you're here, you want to give us a prediction for that Jackson Gaia
basketball put game? Him on the spot.
You know what? I have spent so much more time at Rio Grande basketball games, and I haven't followed it as closely as I'd like. Guy Academy upset this sectional final. But,
they did.
So they're on a little bit of a roll. If Jackson overlooks them, look out. Jackson's probably the favorite in the game, but look, I always pull for the underdog. That's just my nature. And of course, as Pete said, I am an old Blue Devil, and old is probably accurate.
Oh, whatever. No, that's awesome. And the best news of the day, Lady Gaga got her dogs back.
There you go.
I mean, all's well with the world, right? All right. Ryan Smith, thank you so much. And president of Rio Grande and the University of Rio Grande, we appreciate you for coming in.
Thank you.
All right. Okay, let's thank some of our friends that make this show possible, and then we'll get out of here for the day. Did want to thank our good friend Mark Carmen at Carmen's Used Cars and Trucks. And if you are looking for a vehicle, are you looking for a passenger van? He has several on the lot right now, so you can visit that. He has gotten them from the government. They were government vehicles, so they were very well serviced, very well maintained. And if you're looking for something to haul some folks around. He has those on the lot right now, so you can check that out. Also, hey, I got a cauliflower crust pizza for the filling station on Saturday, and it was so good. If you are watching your carbs and all of that fun stuff, or if you're just wanting something a little healthier, you can check those out. They are fantastic, and you can get the cauliflower crust pizzas at the filling station or at the store at Broadway, Penn, and Wellston. And the good thing about them, I think a lot of folks don't put a lot of toppings on those, and they actually put the sauce and the cheese and all that stuff on it. So all the good stuff that makes pizza good, you can get that with cauliflower crust as well. Also wanted to thank Chip and Kathy Smalley at the shop. If you need custom engraving, jewelry repair, watch repair, anything of that nature, please give them a call. Even clock repair. 988-2841 is the number to call for Chip and Kathy, and they have moved the shop on out to their home. And so if they're there, they're open. How's that? Very simple. All right, James, is there anything else we needed to go over today?
I'm just so relieved to hear about Lady Gaga's dogs.
Me too.
Kept me up all weekend.
I know. I was really concerned about it, and she did get them back. Her dog walker did get shot, though. It was really crazy. In the chest, and is still in the hospital, but hopefully will make a full recovery on that as well. So, I mean, what are the chances of? I mean, I would have to think that dog walker is not high on the scale or rating scale of dangerous jobs.
I don't know. I think it depends on how high level of clients you have.
Maybe.
Like the more VIP the dogs are, the more dangerous the job becomes.
I guess the question is, did they steal the dogs because they were Lady Gaga's, or was it just a random act of who knows what?
Or maybe that dog walker's mixed up with the mafia or something.
Could be. It could be an inside job.
Yep. There's more to this than we realize.
That's right. Well, we will.
We need to get the Main Street TV investigative unit on it. Pete!
Pete! Call out to California. Find out what the heck's going on out there. All right. Well, thank you so much for watching. And again, thanks to our good friend Ryan Smith for stopping by. Always a pleasure to talk with him. So we appreciate you all for tuning in. Have a great day. And we will be right back here tomorrow on Tuesday. Bye-bye, everyone.